One West Virginia Mountaineers storyline stands out above the rest when the Mountaineers travel to Houston to take on the 22nd ranked Cougars. We're going to talk about that one storyline here on this episode of Mountaineer Moment. This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go. Welcome in, everybody, to Mountaineer Moment, episode number 64 here, talking about the Mountaineers and the Houston Cougars, who are set to do battle this coming Saturday, 12 Eastern kickoff on FS1. If you are new to Mountaineer Moment, we are a show covering West Virginia football and basketball, bringing you several different episodes throughout the week. During football season, we are counting down to kickoff every single week with a few different pregame episodes, and then, of course, postgame coverage coming your way as well. Basketball season is upon us, tipping off things next week for the West Virginia Mountaineers new look basketball team. We have a few different episodes dedicated to them as well, so you can go check out the rest of the channel, whether you're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. Hit that subscribe button for us. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave a rating, whatever you need to do to help us, help you, and you'll be in the know when we have new content dropping if you hit that subscribe button. So on YouTube, please do that. It helps us tremendously, and looking forward to the Mountaineer Moment movement just continuing from where it started just about a couple months ago. So just thrilled with where it is and where it's going, because we don't intend on stopping anytime soon. So the first and only storyline that we're going to get into. So a lot of the game weeks, if you've been around, Mountaineers obviously through 8 games so far. I think if not everyone, close to every one of the games as part of the countdown to kickoff that we've done, one of our episodes has been focused on a few different storylines for you to watch for in that upcoming matchup. And this one, I just decided to just focus on one storyline. So it won't be the longest episode in the history of Mountaineer Moment by any means. But it's one that I think is, not that there weren't other things I could have gone on tangents on, but the one storyline to me is Scotty Fox, the true freshman quarterback who will be certainly getting his third career start in 3 consecutive weeks when the Mountaineers travel to Houston. And, it's interesting too, because this game that he's coming off of against TCU, where he threw for 301 yards, which, by the way, if you didn't know, was a program record for a true freshman in a single game. And that was the only game this season, which, if you follow the Mountaineers, it isn't hard to believe what I'm about to say, but it's the only game this season where one quarterback started, finished the game, and played every snap in between as quarterback, right? There was no other QB on the roster taking a snap. A lot of that due to injury, obviously, but a lot of that due to the fact that Scotty Fox played pretty well through the air, was able to, again, eclipse the 300-yard mark, throw for 2 touchdowns, and complete 28 of his 41 pass attempts in that 6-point loss to TCU last weekend. And so this is the first game. I mean, obviously week 1, we were all pretty certain it was going to be Nico Markiel starting that week, and he did. Week 2, we were pretty certain it was going to be Nico Markiel starting that week, and he did. But we saw both, we saw different quarterbacks in both those games. Against Pitt, we saw different quarterbacks, and every game in the Big 12 has been a revolving door at quarterback. We've seen Jalen Henderson get a start against Utah. We saw Khalil Wilkins get his first career start against BYU on the road. We saw Scotty Fox start against UCF and split time in that game with Khalil Wilkins, and the same goes for the week before against BYU when Khalil got the start, but Scotty came in. And then against TCU last week, that was the first time. It was the Scotty Fox show, and in a lot of ways he did not disappoint. His progression from start number 1 to start number 2 is obviously very, very notable because he you look at his numbers against UCF in that blowout loss, and it's obviously not all pinned on Scotty, 45-13, splitting time with Khalil Wilkins in that game. but he just completed 6 passes for 17 yards, or 17 attempts, 6 of his 17 attempts, for 47 yards, no touchdowns, and didn't get anything done on the ground either. And Khalil Wilkins struggled in that game as well. So then heading into TCU with obviously the reports of Khalil being injured, Jalen Henderson being out, and all that, and just a quarterback room that's banged up, it was apparent Scotty Fox was going to get the start again. And it was a shift, and I don't want to focus purely on the stats that are really easy, like that's the low hanging fruit, if you can say it that way, to get to, because he did go 28 of 41, go for 300 yards and pass for 2 touchdowns, like I said, completing 68.3% of his passes. But the box score is not the only notable difference that we saw in Scotty Fox's jump between weeks 1 and week 2. It just wasn't. That was not the only difference. He seemed more comfortable, right? And it's no coincidence that happened to be, now again, the quarterback room being banged up played a factor in this as well, but it's no coincidence that single game performance from Scotty Fox happens to be the week when no other quarterbacks were seen on the field for the Mountaineers. He played really, really well, and TCU was sold out to to stop the run, and they did just that. Mountaineers only got 41 yards on the ground. It was almost as if, and Rich Rod kind of alluded to it, just based on what the defense was giving, it was almost if they were saying, "All right, Scotty, come beat us," and he almost did. He genuinely almost did. If the Mountaineers were able to get a stop, at the end, and Mountaineers down 6, run a 2-minute drill with Scotty based on the way that team was playing in the second half, part of me, if not all of me, was fully convinced that team was going to go down, score a touchdown. Like, that's how good I was feeling about what Scotty and the offense was doing to that point in the game. And so, hello, that's a difference from what we've seen in weeks past, or just about the whole season. And that was encouraging. Even though you lose the game, even though you don't get that ball back and run down the field and score, the thought in your head that, like, man, we're going to get this ball back and we're going to go score a touchdown and win this game, like that was on your mind, and that is not something that's been on your mind in weeks. And so that was a breath of fresh air in its own right, despite the loss. Tight end Grayson Barnes, who caught that first touchdown from Scotty Fox in that first half against TCU, he had this to say in his Tuesday press conference, just regarding Scotty's confidence, regarding, just even again, kind of what I'm getting to, that significant jump in what he looked like from start number 1 to start number 2. Here's what he said, Grayson Barnes. "It looked like he was more calm, more confident in the pocket, and trying to control the game around him rather than trying to speed up and go faster." Obviously there's a major jump coming from high school to, Big 12 football for a quarterback especially, and for a true freshman to do what he did against not a bad team. TCU I don't think they played particularly well. Like, I don't think they left, Mountaineer Field feeling particularly great about how they played on offense and defense, although they, again, did get the win, and so they're happy about that. But that regardless, that's still a TCU team that's sitting at 6-2 today. And you came out with a true freshman quarterback and lost by 6, and you almost had a chance to get that ball back and go win the game. So Grayson Barnes likes what he see in the development of Scotty Fox from start number 1 to start number 2. I like the development I see from Scotty Fox from week 1, from start 1 to start 2. Rich Rod obviously had some good things to say, too, about this true freshman. And to me, it just begs the question of, what are we going to see from week 2 to week 3? Right? I keep saying week, but you know what I mean. Start 1, start 2, start 3. What are we going to see from start 2 to start 3 for Scotty? Because this is, again, as we're heading into this game against Houston, Scotty did get a little banged up. I haven't heard anything in relation to that, but barring an injury, Scotty Fox is starting a quarterback. And for much of this season, on Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever of the week of, you just haven't really known that. But now you do. Scotty Fox is starting this weekend against a ranked Houston team, by the way, who we're going to talk about in a second. How, Scotty can, just some things that we need to know about that Houston defense and that Scotty's obviously preparing for right now. But what kind of jump is he going to make? Is he going to progress or is he going to regress? And I don't mean, again, just box score, because it's going to be hard for Scotty to come out and beat his own numbers of 28 to 41, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, it's just going to be hard for him to beat that. But I do think we can see, even if the stats aren't there, we can, to that level, to that degree, we can see progress made in this true freshman quarterback. What kind of jump is he going to make? Just in terms of his comfort, in terms of just his leading within the offense, in terms of his making the correct reads on RPOs or just progressions, through his options when he drops back to pass, what kind of sets and things is Rich Rod going to get him in, when he's going to roll out. Obviously, a lot of the play design against TCU was snap it and throw it, right? Like, he was going to get that ball and let it loose real quick. Obviously, Houston's going to watch that tape and maybe make some adjustments that TCU didn't, again, as they were sold out on stopping the run, and they did just that. And it worked out for them because they won the game. But how is he going to adjust? Right now, there's not only film on him, because there was film on him from previous games. This is the most film there's been on him, but it's good film on him too. It shows his strengths. It shows what he's capable of. It shows what he... 28 pass completions to 9 different receivers. It shows how he was spreading the ball around. It shows, his weaknesses or, throws that he missed. It shows, all right, well, here's a moment, here's a play where he just keyed in on one receiver and either found him or didn't find him, but he keyed in on a guy. What's a cornerback going to do to jump that, right? We saw that with Khalil Wilkins in his start against BYU. He didn't, go through a progression or anything. He just... I set on one guy running a quick button hook route, and it was picked off. So what kind of defensive differences, not adjustments because it's a different team, but what kind of differences are we going to see as far as how Houston decides to play this freshman quarterback, Scotty Fox? That's huge. I mean, that's just huge. So will there be progress or will he regress? Will he take a step back? Now that there's film on him, now that teams are going to play him differently and so on and so forth. What kind of Scotty Fox Jr. are we going to see? And again, don't just base this on the box score test, right? Base this on the eye test a little bit. What are we seeing on the field? What do we like? What do we dislike? And so on. So, Scotty Fox Jr., obviously love what he did against TCU and would love to see him take a step forward this week against Houston in terms of his comfort and just playmaking and what he brings to this offense. You can bet that West Virginia is going to desire to run for more than 41 yards. And you can bet that, again, I mean, I don't know you can bank on Scotty Fox getting 41 passing attempts again. But what's he going to do with the throws that he gets? Will he look to get his legs a little bit more involved? Because that was a non-factor, obviously, for everybody, but including Scotty Fox. So keep an eye on that. Now, this Houston defense, and we'll end with this. I mean, they obviously present some significant challenges. We've talked about it if you've caught other episodes this week. If you haven't, go check that out. Behind Enemy Lines, talking about this Houston defense and what they bring, the offense, who they have, 4 key players. We did an episode on that, just highlighting this Houston offense. So go check those out if you haven't already. But this defense, giving up just 18.6 points per game, which ranks them 5th in the Big 12 in that department. Each of their last 2 games against Arizona State, we've talked about this too. They have 4 sacks in each of those games, so 8 sacks over the last 2 weeks. Which, if you follow West Virginia football this year, oh no, that can't be good for us because of how quickly teams have gotten to the quarterback. Whoever it is, whether it's Scotty or Khalil or Nico or Jalen, they've gotten to the quarterback early and often. Yikes, right? Will we see that? Obviously, that for the first time, even against TCU, you have 41 dropbacks, at quarterback, 41 pass attempts, and it was eerie to watch a game and not be terrified that the quarterback's going to get sacked every time. That's at the point we were at before this TCU game in this Mountaineer football program, because it was bad leading up to that game. So obviously, again, TCU's defense and what they chose to do and chose to take away played a role in that, but it was just encouraging to see, like, okay, we can have a quarterback throw the ball 41 times, and I think he only got sacked twice. And hello, like that's an encouraging sign compared to where you've been. But now you got a team who's had 8 sacks over the last 2 weeks. One of those games, 4 sacks against an Arizona State team that was ranked. You were on the road. You did that. 3 sacks alone for Eddie Walls III, who's a defensive lineman, number 90 for Houston. So keep an eye on him. He had 3 sacks and 3 TFLs in that big win for them over Arizona State that boosts them into the AP poll this week at 22. Another interesting note, and then we'll end. Their lone loss, obviously, against a very talented Texas Tech team. But since then, in their previous 3 games since then, against Oklahoma State, Arizona State, they've given up just 85 yards per game on the ground over the last 3 weeks. And so, if Houston's defensive front, with, again, the Eddie Walls III kid who's played well, especially last week, if they're able to do it, they've been doing lately, and West Virginia has a similar week to what they did last week with 40 rushing yards, then it might be a lot riding on Scotty Fox. It might be a lot on his shoulders. How's he going to do in that scenario? And obviously we hope that that's not true. Rich Rod hopes that he can get the ground game going more productively, and hopefully there's lessons learned from that tape against TCU, because there should be. Because if there's not, then it is just wasted time, right? Because there needs to be something learned from that that's going to allow them to improve and get back to a little bit of a running attack. Not that we've been lights out all year in that department, because we haven't. We've had moments. But a running game is going to help Scotty Fox. It just is. On the road against a ranked team, like, you need to be able to run the football a little bit. It's common sense. It's football 101. Mountaineers were just fortunate enough last week to see Scotty Fox make some throws, even though his running game wasn't there. So, all right. Again, this is, I think, what is it? 64? That's what he said. Episode 64 of Mountaineer Moment. Talking about one storyline that stands out above the rest, and that is Scotty Fox Jr. making his 3rd career start, coming up on the road against Houston, the 22nd ranked Houston Cougars. And, a couple more episodes this week, and obviously be sure to come back for those, and some post-game reaction to that game against Houston. We'll get those up quickly on Saturday, and be on the lookout for more basketball content as well. If you follow both programs, basketball season is here. I couldn't be more pumped about it, and I hope you're pumped too to see Ross Hodge and this new look Mountaineer team do battle this season. So we'll see you next time on Mountaineer Moment.